Hello and welcome to the Conscious Leadership Podcast. My name is Julie Hoglin and I am the creator and founder. This podcast covers every aspect of conscious leadership and the Conscious Leadership Code. And if there is a particular example or angle or subject you would like an episode on, please reach out and let me know and I will create it specifically for you. The only thing you have is your reputation. And let me explain what I mean by that. I was at a charity boxing event at the weekend and it raised $250,000 for charity, and I hope the money goes to charity. And there were 10 fights prior to the big fight. So the fight that had attracted an audience of, I think it was 1,700 people. The stadium held 2,000 and there was 300 seats less because of the boxing ring. I think it was 1,700 tickets sold and 1,700 people in the room or thereabouts. And of course, the two people who were having the main bout were, if you like, from two different camps. They had each had their group of followers. And it really got me thinking because there were 10 fights. So there was an agreement made between the two main boxers about who would be in the ring. So this is the people that should have been in the ring were not boxers. They had not boxed before. Now, one individual, and this is the person that I follow, I knew all of the people that fought on his side were either his staff team, part of his staff team, or part of his training team. And none of them were boxers. And they trained really hard for 6 months. Now, on the opposing side, I can categorically, without any doubt, tell you that I'm going to say more than half of the boxers that were in the ring were boxers or amateur boxers, or certainly trained in a boxing gym. And you could see the difference. So for me at that point, I'm like, oh, this is not on, because I knew what the agreement was. I just thought this is not on. And I really felt for the volunteers in the ring. And then the other thing that really struck me, and this is why I say, your reputation is everything. When you agree to something and then you either carry it out or don't carry it out, that's your reputation. Now, regardless of whether you say, I promise or not, as in 2 words, by making the agreement, you are promising to do something. You are making a commitment to do something. You have agreed to something. Now, when you agree to do something and you do not comply with the agreement, A, you have broken a promise, and basically you're creating your own reputation. And when you break your promise or break your commitment, break your agreement, whatever word you want to use, it leads to people having a warning sign in their head, which ultimately leads them to distrust you. There's a lot more to that. I've done an episode before on trust. I'll do another one later. Now, the other thing that really got me thinking from the charity boxing match, and I put a post out on it on social media, nearly said that, is that who you are as an individual, how you promote yourself, how you market yourself, how you express yourself, whether that's online or offline, builds your reputation and attracts your followers. Now, when I say followers, of course, when you're on social media, when you're in business for yourself, your followers potentially are your leads, are potentially your customers. And people follow who they are attracted to. So let me ask you, who are you attracting? What are the values that you are expressing to the world about yourself? So let me share something else that happened on Saturday. 11 boxers per team, if you like. Clearly, some on one team were professional boxers, the others weren't. And I knew many of them, so I categorically know they weren't. And one individual's followers, if you like, were all clapping, applauding, wishing everybody well, and I'm, if you like, I can hear that because I'm in that, clapping, applauding, sort of doing all the oohs and the ahs that you do at boxing when you saw a punch landing, you're like, oh, how does that must have hurt? Now, the other person's followers, as the boxers get into the ring and you're clapping and you're applauding, wishing them all well, because this isn't a Tyson versus Ali fight or whoever it was the fight fought, or a Cooper versus Frank Bruno type fight. None of that. The other person's followers were booing, and it really struck me as, why would you do that? This is a charity boxing event. Why would you boo at a charity boxing event? What does that say about you, that you can't wish all the fighters well for the charity? Now, I know I look at a bigger picture. So I've said to you before, on this episode, I follow one of these people, I do not follow the other. I know why I follow one. I know why I don't follow the other. And I have more than one mentor, so please don't hear me wrong on this. Why am I attracted to one than the other? Because one shows integrity, the other didn't. And this then leads me into talking about authenticity. So they're both being authentic, but what are they being authentic to? So liars are authentic to lying. People who tell the truth are authentic to telling the truth. Thieves are authentic to thieving. Honest people are authentic to being honest. And then I heard, and I didn't see this, so this is secondhand, and I will put my hands up to that. It is secondhand, but somebody who was sitting closer to the, if you like, the opposing persons, to the other camp, also said that they were throwing things at their opposing camp. So if you like, the likes of me. So not only are they booing, they're throwing things at the followers of the other boxer, like the opponent. Now, fortunately, every drink was served in a plastic glass. Clearly, they've had the issue before. Every drink was served in a plastic glass, and there was no bottles. So the only thing they could have been throwing were plastic cups, but they were still throwing them. Now, that's not going to hurt anybody, I would hope. But why were they booing and why were they throwing? So what I really want you to think about, I don't know who you are listening to this. You could be a follower of the, if you like, could be in the other camp. But really think about what that means. Think about the people that you follow and what culture you are buying into. Are you buying into a culture of integrity, or are you buying into a culture of non-integrity? Are you buying into a culture that lies and cheats and throws things and boos? Or are you buying into a culture that is honest, no filters, attracts people who will applaud and celebrate the greater good? Now, it doesn't matter who won or lost this fight, and my follower, the person I follow, actually lost. So it's not about who wins, who loses. It's about how you behave in the moment, in situ, because that's your reputation. And please be aware that, and I've called it hive mind on my post, hive mind takes hold. You are the sum of the people that you surround yourself with. Your network is your net worth, as the saying goes, and it's true. But your network is your net worth in far more than financial terms. Your network is your net worth culturally. So everything that is in your network does culturally, so the behaviours, the actions, how they talk, how they perform, how they behave, becomes your culture. And if you like that culture, you stay. But you become the culture, so be warned. The other option is you leave. So you can try to challenge the culture, but when we're talking about mentoring, it's actually not really worth it in a lot of respects, because the mentor, if they've got a big following, why would they change what they do? Because they are earning out of it somehow. They get their adoration and they get the income. So you buy into the culture, you like it, you stay. You buy into the culture, you don't like it, you challenge it. Good luck with that one in some of these mentoring programs. And I've attempted to do that in the past. I don't bother anymore. Or you buy into the culture, you don't like it, and you leave. Now, there's two ways you leave. You physically leave, as in you just don't go back. Or you metaphorically leave, as in you stay there, you take the learning that you can out of whatever it is you're doing. And then on a mentoring program, you leave at the end of the year. But this applies to work as well. So if you're employed, this applies to work. Culture encompasses all. I've written an article on it on my website, julieholtbin.com. Go and have a look at that. So really think about you. You are your reputation. You create your reputation by everything you do. By everything you do, by everything you say, by how you behave, by who you associate to. And remember, association, if you're associated to somebody closely who is then not considered good, for want of a better word, or right, or truthful, but you're associated to them quite closely, by association, your reputation may be tarnished. So please be very careful about who you associate with and to. Be very careful about how you behave and what you put out into the world, because once it is out there, once it is seen, once it is heard, you can't take it back. And that whole thing, for the majority of people, because the majority of people make snap decisions without objective evidence, and that's a generalization, and it's true, the majority of people don't give people a second chance, because you are your first impression. That's for the majority of people. So please be careful. Serious message in this one. Please be careful, because once it's done, it's done. Do your due diligence, do your research, look at who you want to become, look at why you are attracted to the people that you are following. What's the message that is attracting you to them? And choose carefully. Now, we all make mistakes, of course we do, but it's how we make the mistakes that we carry with us. Nothing's perfect. I'm smiling as I'm saying this. Nothing's perfect. We've all made mistakes. We've all given money to people in the mentoring field that I'm sure haven't served us at all times. So take the learning, and remember, with the ups, there's the downs, with the happy, there's the sad. Everything's in balance. Just make sure how you're balancing your life. And again, if you want to reach out and talk to me, please do. There are loads of articles about this sort of stuff on my website, julieholtbin.com, and of course, all the back episodes on this episode of the podcast. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Conscious Leadership Podcast. And if you have found it useful, please leave a review. And if you have found it useful, please share it with others that will find it useful as well. If you want to know more about my publishing, please follow me through to the Amazon author page. And if you would like to follow me on any of my other social media channels, please do, which also includes a YouTube channel.